What is up, guys? How is it going? So, I'm gonna talk more about the number 3 and the number 4, connecting it with kind of my system, and just kind of aspect. I just want to summarize a lot of my videos actually, in that with, like I said, the Trinity. Like I said previously, I talk about the Logos, Trinity, even my session 1 that I talk about the collective unconscious and all that. Yeah, the number 3 that is more the perfect. The 4 is more the wholeness. Karen talk a lot about that actually in his book, with Job, Answer to Job actually, and a lot of his sermon, like a lot of his letter, more obscure letter that is talk more about archetypes like the mother and the father. So he kind of put that into a trinity. He also think that the 4, he entertained the number 4 a lot actually, because he thought that the 3 was too masculine. So he thought that what was missing was the dark side actually of the Trinity. So he talks a lot about that actually, Corium. That the number 4 should be the wholeness, with the bad side and the feminine side that was overlooked in the Trinity, that is more the masculine, the father, and all that is good, while missing the part about the badness. So we're trying to kind of merge that, also with the Greek, kind of merge a lot of stuff, kind of categorically, but I hope it will make sense actually, and I will kind of try to do a good summary, and I think I will divide it into kind of the different Trinity that we have, and after I will say more my own conception. So so I'm gonna start to say that the number 3, number 1 is more like unity, number 2 the duality, 2 opposites. Talk a lot about dualities. OPS is made of dualities. Non-duality is more the negative connotation. It's oftentimes like duality is negative, relationship is positive. Binary and coin, they're more like neutral aspect of the duality. I like to say duality because our mind kind of, dual is more kind of saying in the word that it's 2. And they are actually opposite and fighting together, which is more the struggle that we live every day. They're not coins or binary or even relationship. We have to strive toward relationship with those dualities, but I think that duality is a word, it kind of bring the experience across better. But and the number 3 is more something that is considered perfect. It's not like the unity, one ideology. It's not like the 2 fighting together. It's more like the 3 having a mediation. The number 3 comes up a lot in history, kind of explain the perfect kind of, but not wholeness, but some kind of wholeness, perfect wholeness, not totally whole, but all in of itself in the mat. So it's more that the 3 is more like perfect in the sense that the mat will kind of bring everything together, but it doesn't have the full wholeness that the number 4 has, with the 4 cardinal point, the square, kind of accessing all the parts of reality, kind of, this side, this side, this side, and this side. So yes, I'm going to start with that. So it's more like the 3 is the wall, perfect, sorry, and the 4 is more like wholeness. So so in history, the number 3 happened a lot. And in Hinduism, it's like Brahman, Vishnu, and another kind of deity. I don't remember, but they are the creation, destruction, and the mediation. So it's kind of something that happened a lot. It's like, or Christianity is more like the Father, the Son, the Holy Trinity, and it's also heaven, the mediation in between, which is Jesus, or the Logos, and Earth. So it's more my Trinity actually. I think that the Trinity that is the most kind of better in a way, and in experience, and also personification, that they have to have an element of personification, is heaven, earth, and the Logos in the between. Now this video is also to talk about Carl Jung. Carl Jung saw the Logos as more something masculine. So what is missing is actually more the feminine. So he saw that the anima of the masculine is Eros, and the animus of the Eros in the middle should be the Logos. So in that sense, Carl Jung was kind of more seeing that we are more in a patriarchal society. I don't think that would necessarily happen in a society that is evolved, because the father is at the top in heaven, the archetype of the OI, which Carl Jung acknowledged a lot, and he talked about that also, but he also said that the middle as kind of that it makes sense. It's in the middle. That is the hero. That Jesus is the hero. That is more the Logos, more the syntax, more how we enter to the world with our own world, with the words, and non-being and being, kind of manifesting into the world, into an incarnate person. So Carl Jung acknowledge that and understand that a lot. And all the great men actually understand that. But he also saw that there's an Eros part, it is more the feminine, that might be missing in a Trinity. So, the way I see it, actually that there's a Trinity, that's perfect. And also, the oneness will say something like, kind of a vibe thing, more like Eros, more kind of vibe. That's yes, it's not totally in the Trinity, but it has kind of an aura. It's more Eros alike. And I thought about that maybe the Trinity has kind of two factions, but I don't think it will be useful, and I think it will be an error and universal to say that okay, for a female it's not Logos, but it's Eros, which I don't think it's actually a good solution to that kind of problem. I'm wanting to bridge all the kind of aspect and trying to acknowledge the feminine in it. I don't think it's a good way. And I think it has to do with the archetypes of how the number 3 and 4 manifest. And the number 4 seems to be more, they have feminine and masculine aspect. But the 4, the oneness, more like, okay, there's more that kind of naming aspect that men have, but the wholeness, the part that we have to understand the whole, or acknowledge the whole, and kind of the unconscious. It's more like this is more unconscious, I like, even if it's more conscious, because kind of okay, all the square and everything. So knowing the measurement, it's more like conscious. Okay, I know that this is 2 meters, that this is 3 meters. While the perfect, okay, while it's perfect, I don't know the picture, actually, the conscious aspect. So it's kind of hard to kind of do that with those. But I do think that in the context of the Trinity, the 3 is more masculine alike. Strangely enough, I do think so. Even if you can say that the 4 is more conscious alike. And conscious more associated with the male, with the day, the sun, the yang, or the unconscious more with the night, the female aspect, the moon. So there might be some contradiction there, but I do think that in the aspect of the Trinity, it's actually more masculine, the perfection of how it will manifest in mediation and force. But it starts to be very complicated. But yeah. I do think that one is more feminine-like, and the perfect is more unconscious. Okay, so I guess I could say the solution that Carl Jung said. I mean, him he saw it more like a cross, but more. I hope you can see well. That's more like. More like the Father, the top, the Son. Well, I mean, Jesus, the Son, and I think it was Holy Spirit. Right, Holy Spirit there. And at the bottom, he was not sure. I mean, it was longer there actually. It's longer there to say that the Trinity is no more like closer together, and the bottom of the cross that is longer actually, because it's further from the perfectness, and the goodness. So him, he was in dispute with either it's the bad, or either it's the mother. So Karen can say that it was like either it's the bad or the mother. So I think that's in of itself. I do understand why Karen said that, because the shadow is like okay, the shadow of the Trinity. They have some shadows, so the bad aspect has to be manifested. In the Antichrist and all that. And he said that the light is too bright. The light of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit is too bright. That it needs a counterbalance, and the psyche to really have let's say a psychic wholeness. So that's why he conceptualized that, and he also saw the lack of the feminine. But when I think it's fair, even though if diving a lot, say that the feminine aspect kind of is more something akin to something that is aura-like. So you can actually say, in a sense, that the Holy Spirit, or what kind of bring the three together, is actually the feminine. So I think that Karen kind of missed that. And even in the kind of storytelling, it's always kind of the mother kind of bringing everything together and being the origin of that, in a way. That they both, the father and the mother, have an origin to it. But it's more in the relation to others that the mother manifests, rather than in the separation. Which in the Trinity is more like, okay, they are all one, but they are separate, and they all have their individual kind of wholeness in them, even if together they're also whole. It's kind of they are whole, even if they are different, and they merge together. I think that the merging together is more something akin to the feminine. So you don't need to actually say that the mother is at the bottom four. I do think it's actually demonized the mother aspect actually. So I do think Ariel was wrong with that. I think that the bad is legitimate though. I mean, he doesn't say bad. I think he said Satan actually, or the divider. Was the devil? Yeah, the devil is the divider, and Satan is the evil. So it's not bad actually. The precise SI word it's bad, evil, sorry, or Satan. But yeah, but I'm still struggling if there is an answer to it. But I think he was wrong actually. I know he's wrong with the mother, like I said, the relation of the holy and how the relation is actually the mother. If you kind of understand well the Trinity actually, but the evil, I'm still struggling with that, and I think it's more in the narrative that they kind of explain that rather than the solution, because the Trinity is more like the solution. So it's like, why bring the evil into that? It's like, okay, in the stories we see the evil, in the struggle we see the evil, in the opposite of the Trinity we see the evil, but in the Trinity in of itself we don't need the evil per se. It's more my conclusion right now, but I might be wrong. I'm still considering what he said about that. But yeah, now I guess I'm gonna put my session work in that. That the logo is more like the symbolic syntax. And I talk about Lacan, in the psychanalysis and collective unconscious. But it's more akin. The three theories kind of agree that the middle is more like, well, the symbolic manifest. It's more like the collective unconscious is more like the unity of that symbolic. Yeah, so there's a unity. And so if you know my stuff, you know that Earth is more like it's that, to that. I mean, not even my work, just like a lot of people talk about the same thing, categorically, how they will manifest. And yet, like I talk, the collective unconscious more something with the will at the top, and the instincts. That's what Carry On was all about, actually, was the will and the instincts. And they will bring to the middle and do something. Ethno-psychanalysis is more something concerned with the multiplicity, how the different culture manifest. Okay, the symbol, the snake, how it's different in that culture, and that culture, and that culture. While Carry On, collective unconscious, it's more something, what is the same? It's more the unity aspect. And they all agree that the middle is symbolic syntax. But Lacan, psychanalysis, it's more about the words in the middle, like the Greek. It's more like the logos. It is more where the collective meet. It's more in the culture that we have some kind of words that are what are the mediation of how we live our lives. It's kind of inescapable. And if you are not in the logos or the symbolic, you are not in the collective, and we can talk about problems like schizophrenia and all that. Talk a lot about that, but not a lot, but a little bit about that actually. And I mean, his theory is pretty complex, and I don't understand all of it. But I mean, it's pretty simple. The fact that he talks about the collective being in the words, and the non-being and the being, and how they actually manifest in the collective, in the sense of the logos. So it's really similar to the Greek in that sense. But yeah, kind of a summary. But for a lot of my stuff, the perfect tree and the whole four. Talk a little bit about that, but not so much. Kind of bring more Carry On. Talk about the trinity, and talking more about what actually Carry On talk about. Carry On actually talk about a lot of what I'm writing right now. It's more like something in his old vein, kind of train of thought. So yeah, so thanks for watching.